Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to Hearthstone. So, I need to this time play 50 Shaman cards, take a little bit of a break. Last time we tried to get Hunter victories and we only got 2, and then an hour of overplaying. Supposed to be 30-minute recordings when this is pre-recorded, and the live stream just goes for as long as it goes, and we're doing both. So Shaman Overload deck is what we need to do and play here, and we can start to move on the news. And the fact that it's been an hour, the fact that I haven't gotten anything really done in an hour and 10 minutes is part of what's disconcerting about playing Hearthstone, is that you can just go forever and not get these quests done, particularly when it's talking about winning, because even on casual there's not enough casual players, and constant issues there are abound also about how the casual players aren't very happy with the game and how the professional players aren't very happy with the game, so nobody's very happy with the game. So we get less and less casual players that are new and less professional players that are new, which is, it's kind of hard to get new professional players that are new. In fact, there's a story about that, so let's start going down the stories and maybe we can get somewhat related to it. So there was a Zelda patch, and the changelog from Nintendo, the ever helpful company, is adjustments were made for a more pleasant gaming experience. That's not a direct quote, but it's within 1 or 2 words of exactly what the changelog was, and there's nothing more to it. So pointless update, changelog. I've never personally been big into making changelogs myself. I've never been in a project where you really want to document your work that much. That's probably a sad statement in itself, but I would hope to do at least a little bit better than that. Like, so, put some details into it. Moving on to the next thing, Palmer Lucky is leaving Oculus / Facebook, which I don't know if he ever actually worked for Facebook or if he was just part of the subsidiary of Facebook that was purchased, being Oculus Rift. And he co-founded Oculus Rift, so pretty much I would guess what happened here is Palmer Lucky, very divisive character, not very useful as far as a employee, I would guess. I don't think he's really was adding anything to Oculus, and Oculus hasn't done very well since Facebook, well, hasn't done very well lately at all. Just leave it at that. And so when you think of it from that perspective, there was the ZeniMax / Bethesda, ZeniMax being the parent company of Bethesda, was suing him, and now he's suing ZeniMax. I think Oculus, ZeniMax was also suing Oculus, and he didn't testify very well, and maybe some of the things he said in the testimony just made it worse. And in the end, they were probably just keeping him around to support him in this lawsuit, so that it didn't look like they fired him or asked him to leave before that happened. And now that the lawsuit has been moderately settled, I think the idea is they're taking the opportunity to just ask him to leave to get rid of him. There's no real stated reason or anything like that, but they did, in articles a few months before the lawsuit was settled, definitely make make a point of saying he still works at Oculus, even though he really hadn't been heard from or done anything. Moving on to the next story, some fan has recreated Metal Gear Solid in Lego Worlds. So the kind of weird thing about Lego Worlds, as I was watching somebody else play it, is it does kind of seem like after a short amount of gameplay, or maybe a really long amount of gameplay, you unlock what the early access version of that game was. So there's 100 gold bricks, and after you get 100 gold bricks, according to what I heard, it unlocks what the game was before, the open world creative mode Minecraft style thing. And it seems like you can do something slightly interesting if you can make the entire first level of Metal Gear Solid in the game and then play Lego version of Metal Gear Solid. Immediately you see that it goes to copyright infringement instead of new creation. And similar in the Skyrim mods, it's like, what's the first Skyrim mod that you can think of? It was probably the Thomas the Tank Engine mod that turns the trains into Thomas the Tank Engine. I mean, turns the dragons into Thomas the Tank Engine, instead of something original. Although the joke there is original, the creation. It took a lot longer for people to make new armor from scratch and new weapons from scratch and new storylines and new guidelines. All of those things definitely happened, but they took more time and more effort. Here's that story that I was going to talk about. Speaking of trying to get more professional people in the Hearthstone, Blizzard has banned a controversial Hearthstone streamer from the global games. This German streamer was voted in to be the Germany's representative, and then they said they rescinded their offer to him, citing unsportsmanlike comments that he made on like a Discord chat.
Job's done.
He's also been allegedly he's been accused of using viewbots. So then if he's using viewbots to be the most popular streamer in Germany, or to get voted in for this thing, you kind of wonder maybe if he maybe cheated there. When you have the air of cheat on you, that's hard to get rid of, and so I don't know if he even appropriately, he tried to step down and send somebody else in his stead, and Blizzard said, no, we're going to pick at random not at random, we're going to pick who we want, and we're going to send invitations privately. So he kind of smelt it coming, that he wasn't going to be allowed in there. He was entered a tournament, and all of this is just alleged, as both a competitor and an admin of the tournament. And I think he did a different tournament where he was an admin of the tournament or a judge of the tournament, and his team got in when they shouldn't have got in. So there's a lot of story of this guy being a cheat, and I've never heard of him, and I didn't write down his name, but
I'll show them. I'll show them all.
Sadly, the last thing any company needs is controversy, and in trying to avoid controversy, they may have stirred up some controversy. We'll just have to, I guess, see on that case. Let's see. This heal, and then we need to do 2 damage. Let's see. How can I do this? And then this, and then this. This is going to be a 2-2 slime. This is going to be a 1-2 slime. So this might work. Speaking of slight controversies, CD Projekt Red is trying to renew, I think, a trademark for the word cyberpunk in software. Personally, I think the phrase cyberpunk is too broad of a term for software, and frankly, I think there's probably a ton of prior art to it anyway, so even if the trademark got approved, it would be then almost certainly lost or invalidated in any actual court case. And it doesn't seem like the government's too interested in enforcing trademark anywhere as much as they are at copyright. So I don't think it's a huge deal. I think they probably shouldn't have wasted their time on it, but it came up that now, see, if they were going to say trademarks the phrase cyberpunk followed by a number, if you can do that, that might work. Like, because their game is Cyberpunk 2077. So if they were going to trademark Cyberpunk 2077 as a trademark for video games only, I would be like, all right, maybe there you have a claim. But that's really just for the name. Or it's just a word mark. It's just a trademark. Maybe you get a logo or something protected so that it doesn't show up on merchandising and such. But that's kind of all it would be. It wouldn't stop people from making other games, and I don't think it would stop anybody. So it's not a huge concern. I don't think. I think it's just a legal thing. It's trying to stop people from, when Cyberpunk 2077 comes out, or whatever the name is, if it's not 2077, because I might be wrong about the date. They're trying to stop people from making a whole bunch of merchandising products and selling it as official licensed product, which is fair enough in my book. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna win here, but I don't really need to win. I suppose if somebody uses the exact logo, you might also be infringing of that copyrighted artwork too. So that's not even a trademark issue at that point. It's a copyright infringement issue, which is something you can actually fight a lot better. Moving on. BioWare says it's working around the clock to improve and build on Mass Effect Andromeda. So I don't know how much you really want to believe that on Mass Effect Andromeda. It's not like they're in a great position to start off with. It's not like this isn't a situation where the game has a few bugs that were unforeseen. It's consistently full of bugs. I heard a story on the animation aspects of Female Shepherd, is that when they face captured her, the speculation is that she was smirking when they face captured her, and because she was smirking when they face captured her, all the emotions that they derived from the smirk, which doesn't make a lot of sense. You'd think they would have you do like smile, frown, be angry, be happy, be excited, mouth open, mouth closed, puff out your chin, fill up your cheeks with air. I'd imagine you would have all of those emotions that you even have a thought you might use and capture those separately, and not go have animators take one picture or one face capture of her smirking and then say, well, now we need her to frown, so we'll take that smirk and turn it into a frown, but then she'll just be kind of frowning while smirking too, and it's just like, I have no idea what's going on. Is this because of the voice actor strike in a weird way, because they were forcing voice actors a lot to do mocap and face acting, and they were saying you're coming in for a voice acting gig, and it turns out you're doing other things on top of the voice acting, or you're not doing voice acting at all and you're just doing mocap. And then that was one of their major complaints, is that they would show up and they'd be told to put on mocap suits and do these stunts, and then leave their voice actors that shouldn't be doing stunts. So yeah, there's all kinds of reasons why that might happen. But it's not just the animations on Mass Effect Andromeda. There's problems everywhere. The dialogue sounds badly directed because it was just randomly recorded instead of interacting with people. Instead of having two voice actors have a conversation back to back, or one voice actor hearing the previous voice actor's recording of the conversation, it seems more like they're doing just a word replacement technique, where they're saying, having them, well, not a word replacement as much as maybe a sentence replacement, where they're saying, say this sentence here, that might be like, you killed my brother, and then they might say,
Job's done.
then they might tell them to say the sentence, my brother died
Is someone injured?
2 years ago, and then they might say, I just saw my brother yesterday, and it may be completely out of order, and it may not be used at all, and so you don't even know the voice actors don't even know how to emote to anything, because there's nothing really to emote to, because there's no nuances or circumstances around what they're saying. It's just read this line and then read this line and read this line. And it gets back to that what's my motivation question that actors sometimes say and directors sometimes hate to hear, is the idea is like, what, how am I supposed to sound here? And that's an issue, definitely.
Embrace.
Moving on to the next news thing. According to a UKIE study, 40% of the UK companies have considered moving because of Brexit, and 25% of that 40% have already been approached by people to move because of Brexit. And I'm going to say something slightly controversial here in the phrase "good riddance." Like, if inherently, I'm going to use that phrase and not complain about using the phrase, even though I just did.
Are you my
If
master?
the only reason why your company is in the UK is because you wanted to take advantage of the globalism that the European Union is promoting, so that you can have employees from like Ukraine, who will take much lower pay, move all the way to the UK and have no like family structure or community care for the local community of the UK. if you just wanted to bring in cheap labor from the cheaper European countries into your business, then good riddance of you, you're a garbage company. This is what Disney in the United States is trying to do. This is the whole issue of the H1V1 visas. I think that's what it's called. The visas, foreign worker visas that Disney has been trying to use, where they're firing the local people, the people that in the United States that have invested their entire life into being citizens of the United States. Are firing them and having them train foreign workers that will work for half the price, and then those foreign workers will eventually probably either get sent back or get replaced with even cheaper workers. The problem with bringing in foreign workers and globalism is we are not counterbalancing that with a consistent quality of life, minimum wage, living wage. So even if a foreign worker comes into the UK and they're getting paid their minimum wage, they can send that money over to their country and their family in their country and have much more purchasing power. And thus it helps equalize things in the long run, but only so much, and not before the corporation that's using them and abusing them basically makes millions of dollars and cheats the local people out of it. So I would say, if anybody, when Brexit happens, if any country wants to leave, fine, but the exit taxes, I hear, are already very high, and they should only be higher for those companies to leave. And frankly, it's all bluster and lies. They just don't like Brexit as an idea. In general, it's a very complicated system thing that happened, and I don't think anybody's going to be super happy no matter what happens. But it's the European Union was on the path to becoming like this United States federal government with none of the restrictions or balances of power that the Constitution is supposed to have. And what it's probably going to end up doing, if I was to just guess, is it's going to have something like a Civil War style fight break out eventually, because and that's where Brexit very well could have gone, in the same way that the Southern states tried to secede from the United States Union. If Brexit is trying to secede from the European Union, if the European Union had right then and there said, no, you can't leave, then they would have been in a civil war. Fortunately for the UK, I think they probably are stronger enough that they could probably hold their own, if not win, a civil war by themselves, compared to the number of people in the European Union that would actually want to fight that fight. Probably wouldn't succeed if it was all of the members of the European Union, except for the UK, against the UK, but I don't think that's how it would break down. And clearly we saw that they didn't want to even start that fight, and so they said, fine, get out. And I imagine it's now up to the UK to control their own destiny and fix and see if they succeed or fail. Pakistan is in a kind of a similar issue where Pakistan broke off from India, and specifically where under the idea that Pakistan would be a Muslim theocracy, and that under that religion it would succeed greatly, and it's arguably not succeeding greatly just because of it. So yeah, I hope all those companies that considered moving either considered not to move, or they get exit tax and you get rid of them. If half of the countries in the United States said they wanted to leave the United States tomorrow, I'd say fine, because more than half of the companies in the United States are terrible, and getting rid of them sounds like a good idea to me, and that would be a very convenient way to get rid of them. Like if Walmart said that they were gonna pull all of their corporate buildings and infrastructure and just not do business in the United States at all, if they were just gonna leave completely, I'd be like, all right, good. So many people would be happy about that. It wouldn't be a problem. It would be a little bit of a problem, but not that much. Moving on to video games, though. Funcom will pay players up to $500 for reporting exploit in Conan Exiles. Now, that sounds good until you think about it and look more realistically. $500 is an incredibly low amount of money for an exploit. Now, arguably, maybe Conan Exiles was never a big game. Maybe there's not any money that you can get in and out of it. So, on that element, it may very well be that that is a good deal, just because Conan Exiles exploits are just not worth anywhere as much as other kinds of exploits. But if you found an exploit in Conan Exiles and it could get you thousands, if not millions of dollars just by selling that exploit as a cheat, then you're much better off selling that to a website and having them sell it as a cheat, or starting a website and selling it. Most security bounties are for much, much higher than $500, and it's up to $500. So they're being very, very cheap here. That being said, I guess it's probably a safer way to go. It certainly won't get you sued, but it may also, you may report an exploit that you feel you deserve $500 for, and they might say, we already knew about it, we're not paying you anything. So it's going to be a gamble either way. Generally speaking, if you are in the security business, you have the resources and the contacts to sell exploits for much more than that. If you're an end user player and you find an exploit, you probably don't even know what an exploit is in their definition, or a general scientific definition. Why did I start a new game? I shouldn't have done that. Well, I need to play 7 more of these cards. So that's kind of cheap. I think Google has like a $20,000 bug bounty for some of their software. So it's like $20,000 per exploit in comparison. So keep that in mind. Moving on to the next story, Mad Catz has filed for bankruptcy. Mad Catz went heavy into controllers and things. Ideally, I would assume this means that I can look forward to maybe getting a few things on sale. at some point when there's some clearance there, assuming it doesn't just go on bankruptcy and then get purchased completely out. I don't know if Mad Catz really is a great name. We heard last time Mad Catz was what were we talking about? That Mad Catz was getting delisted from the New York Stock Exchange, so no big surprise there. It happened kind of fast between the two things, though. But yeah, you can't really say you didn't see this coming. I don't know what I particularly want. Well, ideally, having played a driving game, a nice force feedback driving steering rig is an interesting idea that I would enjoy thinking about having. But I'm just gonna end my turn here. And maybe I would get like an arcade stick if it goes on sale. I could think about that. I don't think I'm gonna get a mouse or keyboard from them. I do need to get acquired a mouse and keyboard. I just read an article talking about how while the Blue Yeti microphone is probably the best microphone for the job, it is also very good at picking up noise on the from mouse and keyboard clicks, which is problematic. So I do need a new quieter mouse and keyboard. I don't know how I can get a quieter mouse per se, but a quieter keyboard would help a little bit. Although I need the mouse to be quieter actually more than the keyboard. So maybe I'd get an arcade stick, maybe I'd get a driver, maybe I'd get like a HOTAS. I mean, it wouldn't be terrible while things are on sale to just get a full setup of everything you may ever want. Like a flight control stick and all of that. That's a thought, certainly, although I think I probably would be better off buying games than spending, even at sale prices, a lot of money for controllers that I'll never use or barely use. I had a bunch of controllers when I was younger, but they all connected to the joystick control, and so nothing can we don't even have that port anymore on PCs, so I got rid of them eventually. So we are almost done with the Shaman cards. We have 2 out of 5 victories for the Hunter and Mage, and 0 for the Paladin and Warrior, so we're going to have to do some more work. Stay tuned if you're watching the live stream, but for the recording, that's it. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.